Do you want to track your macros but you're just not able to track them? Then don't worry, because I got you covered. Hey there, it's Sophie from GAINSBYBRAINS and welcome to the third episode of my Getting Fit series. This episode is all about the hand-sized portion method, and this is probably something for you if you are giving it your all in the gym and you really want to align your nutrition with it in order to get maximum results, but you're just not able to track your macros. Now, if you do not know what tracking macros are, or if you want more information about how to track them, then I would recommend you to first watch the second episode of my Getting Fit series. But without further ado, let's continue with the hand-sized portion method. Maybe you're not allowed to make your own food because you're still living at home, or because you're eating at work, or maybe you're going to a friend's place to have dinner there and you don't really want to ask what the different macros are. Maybe you just mentally don't want to deal with counting calories and tracking macros all the time, or maybe you keep forgetting to buy batteries for your food scale so you're not able to weigh your food. That would be me. Or maybe you just feel like tracking macros and counting calories really gets in the way of enjoying food. Whatever your reasons are, it really does not matter. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you want to align your nutrition with your fitness goals as good as possible without tracking macros, then the hand-sized portion method might be something for you. The hand-sized portion method is where you use your own hand as a measurement tool, and this is how it works. The size of your palm determines your protein intake, the size of your thumb determines your fat intake, your cupped hand determines your carb intake, and the size of your fist determines your veggie intake for each meal. The hand-sized portion method has a few benefits. The first benefit is that you always have your hands with you, which is very handy. No pun intended. No, I forget my food scale, I don't want to weigh my food, I run out of batteries, I forget to buy new batteries. That is all not an issue with this method. And the second benefit is that your hands are actually scaled. This means that a bigger person who needs more food tends to have larger hands, and a smaller person who needs less food tends to have smaller hands. And the third benefit is that this method controls your total calorie intake without you having to track your macros or count calories. The fourth benefit is that it prevents you from not getting enough of one macro in on a daily basis. So for example, it prevents you from not hitting your fat intake, or it prevents you from not hitting your protein intake. Assuming that you eat 4 meals a day, this is a great starting point for most. For each meal, men should have 2 palms of protein-dense food, for example red meat or chicken, fish, or a plant-based protein, 2 fists of non-starchy vegetables, 2 cupped hands of carb-dense foods, for example whole grains or potatoes or bread, and 2 thumbs of fat-dense foods, for example healthy oils or nuts or seeds. For each meal, women should have 1 palm of protein-dense foods, 1 fist of vegetables, 1 cupped handful of carb-dense foods, and 1 thumb of fat-dense foods. I do want to add that just as with every other nutrition planning there is, the guidelines that I just mentioned earlier serve as a starting point. You should always be flexible and adjust your portion sizes depending on how you feel, whether you're hungry or satisfied or full, or whatever other goals you have. If you want to use the hand-sized portion method, then I would recommend you to start with the guidelines that I mentioned earlier, the guidelines that are applicable to you, whether you are a male or a female, and start from there. Use it for at least 1 week, and during that week you want to weigh yourself every single day and you want to write it down. You also want to weigh yourself at approximately the same time if that's possible, because that's just more reliable. And then after 1 week you calculate your weekly average weigh-in. And you want to compare that weekly average weigh-in with your weekly average weigh-in from a week earlier. And then based on whether that changed, you can adjust your portion sizes from there. Now the reason you want to calculate and compare your weekly weigh-in is because your daily weigh-in can fluctuate quite a bit. So the weekly weigh-in is just way more reliable. So for example, after 1 week of using the hand-sized portion method, you find that your weekly average weigh-in is exactly the same as a week earlier. Then you know that you have been eating at maintenance level, and if maintaining your weight was your goal, then you did a really great job there. Now, if after 1 week you gained weight, then you know that your portion sizes were a little bit larger than what your portion sizes would be if you wanted to maintain your weight. Now, regarding your goals, you can adjust from there. And the same as if you lost weight, then your portion sizes were a little bit smaller than what your portion sizes should be if you want to maintain weight. So if you don't want to lose weight, then you can probably increase your portion sizes a little bit. If your goal is to gain lean mass and you have been eating at maintenance level, then you can increase your portion sizes by adding a thumb of fat to a few meals, or you can add a cupped handful of carb-dense foods to a few meals. That just depends on whether you prefer carbs or fats more. I would definitely go for the carbs, but it is all up to you. And if you want to decrease your body fat percentage, then you can either remove a cupped handful of carb-dense foods from one meal to begin with, or if you are a male, you can also choose to remove fat from one meal, for example. If you're a female, I do not recommend you to play around with your fat intake, because fats are very essential for your hormone level, and especially as a female, you do not really want to mess around with that stuff. So that was the video about the hand-sized portion method, where you can use your hand as a measurement tool if you want to align your nutrition with your fitness goals, but you're not really able to track your macros. I really hope that it was helpful to you, and if you try it or if you are going to try it, please let me know in the comments, because I really enjoy reading them. And like this video if you haven't liked it already, because that helps me out a lot. And obviously do not forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of the episodes of the Getting Fit series. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys!